If everyone had these emotional auras, I would be out of a job. This is like really useful. My name's Dr. Sam Greenblatt. I'm a clinical psychologist. Today, I'll be looking at the new Life is Strange, and we'll be looking at it through that psychological lens. So I'm excited, let's get started.
You know the mines?
I know they exist.
I think I found a way into one.
Ethan didn't tell Gabe about going to explore the old mine. Should I? Or should I blow his cover?
I mean, I don't know these characters. I'm just coming at this a little blind, but the main character is already looking at kind of an interesting decision. Two different priorities. Somebody's physical safety or kind of the safety of a relationship. We have to weigh these risks, and physical safety and well-being is more important than anything else. I mean, if this kid dies, there's no point in preserving that kind of relationship, you know? But for the interest of keeping things interesting, let's see what happens if we keep the secret over here.
Yeah, fine. Just thinking about you as the Hobbes to Ethan's Calvin.
I mean, I love Calvin and Hobbes, but she's using such a different metaphor, right? He's using, I want to be a dad plus I want to be more than a fatherly figure. She's using this metaphor of, I'm thinking of you as kind of an imaginary friend to this kid.
Just give me a sec. Hey, Mac.
Already his body language is telling me something. When someone's physical affect isn't matching what they're trying to communicate, right? Clearly he's very angry. When we want to communicate to somebody, we want to communicate kind of openly and freely, and there's a lot of benefit to being able to display the affect, to display the emotion that you're intending to communicate with your words.
Because I thought you were fucking my girlfriend!
Dude, I promise, you've got it all wrong.
Tell me why I shouldn't kick your ass right now!
No. No, not here. No, not here.
It's not my place, man. You really need to talk to your girlfriend.
I'm talking to you!
No!
All right, good time here to talk about, I think, the difference between empathy and sympathy. Those are two words that are commonly misconstrued. People say, oh, I'm an empath, et cetera, et cetera. There's a really important difference. Sim kind of is something that denotes the same. Empathy is we understand what the other person is going through. Sympathy is you are currently feeling the same feelings that the other person is feeling. If somebody else is grieving and I start to feel the same level of grief to the same intensity, even though it's not my personal grief, I don't know the person who passed, that could be kind of a chaotic way to live. What she's experiencing right now, it certainly seems like she's being a little more sympathetic than empathetic. It's a subtle difference in terms of the words themselves, but the difference is so important. It's an inappropriate time, but it reminds me of my favorite joke for psychologists. So a psychologist is walking down the street and he sees someone who is beaten and bloodied, bruised on the ground. And he looks at this guy in horror and he says, oh my God, whoever did this to him needs help. A lot of times we're looking at not just the victim, but the aggressors as the people that really need the therapeutic intervention. We have a session schedule. So even something like that, I would never send an email to a patient saying this is strike one. That sounds really punitive. In terms of whether or not I would want to see my patient's text, I almost think that it would be irrelevant. It's a collaboration. I'm the expert in cognitive behavioral therapy, and they're the expert in themselves. And there's a trust. And if they choose to withhold something, then that's okay.
I want to talk to Gabe, but what can I even say right now? I know what other people are feeling. I can see these auras around them.
Because they're kind of hyperbolizing something that people experience. I'm so wary when people are talking about, oh, I'm just an empath. I could really sense and I'm really there when people are kind of experiencing these things. The sympathy has all of the pros of empathy, but extra cons. Being too attached and feeling what they're feeling.
He wasn't just angry at you, he's angry at himself. He thinks he's gonna lose Riley.
Did Riley tell you that?
It's so funny here because she's saying nobody told me that, I just feel it. I think one of the most toxic statements is I can feel it in my gut. It's my gut feeling, it's my instinct. We have this kind of primal part of our brains that send these emotions, and those emotions aren't always linked up with real life. Our brain kind of gaslighting us into thinking that there is a problem when there actually isn't.
Earlier, when I was talking with Ethan, he told me he was hiking up the mountains to explore the old mine.
Ethan! Ethan! Ethan!
Ethan! Alex! I'm scared!
Good thing she has the power that tells her he is scared.
Ethan, I need you to calm down. Can you breathe for me?
So she tries 2 different interventions here to kind of reduce his emotional intensity. The first is, let's go through a breathing exercise. Sometimes that could bring down some anxiety, but I know it's kind of a trope that therapists just tell me to breathe. But then the other thing that she does is starts to appeal to his kind of rational self to kind of help ground him and hopefully emotionally stabilize him. Yeah, the rope tied around himself. That's why you don't tie the rope around yourself. That did not seem necessary.
What happened to Gabe was a senseless, tragic accident. And I just wish
It
that...
wasn't an accident. Pretty wild that you come stumbling out of Gabe's apartment with your face all fucked up.
Right.
And just a couple hours later, you just so happened to miss the call that would have saved his life.
So grief is one of those really complicated things. We want to allow our brain and our body to do 2 things. Be able to release some kind of emotions or to kind of talk things through with other people that are grieving. And we want to give ourselves some time to not have to think about it and to not process it. So these people in this scene, when they're taking the anger out on other people, I think that when pass that litmus test of is it useful. In this situation, if these people were very skillful, and it's hard to be in a really kind of emotionally challenging situation like this, so I don't blame them. But if they were being kind of optimally skillful in this kind of situation, they'd be able to recognize that they're kind of misplacing their anger onto each other, and they'd find some other ways to kind of regulate those challenging emotions. We just finished playing chapter 1 over here. They're saying that she has this power of empathy, and no, not at all. This is sympathy. I wouldn't see it as a superpower, you know, I'd see it as something that is not serving her, right? Again, is it useful? Is this improving the quality of my life? It doesn't seem like so far this is kind of enhancing her life experience. So what I'd like to see from her is to really understand the patterns that are happening in her life. All of these things that are happening in her life that are so similar to each other. So not, oh, this is a different situation because now it's this person that's mad at me, and now like I've never dealt with X or Y before, but really to say, okay, this is really same shit, different story. Then navigating through life becomes so much easier. Of course, I could have fun kind of nitpicking it, but at least it's there, and people playing it could get the benefit of being able to label emotions.